There he is.
What's up, man?
Not much. How you doing there? You making sure everything was
I'm,
connected?
yeah, well, and then I was like, oh, crap. It logged me out of Skype because the last time I used it was when you and I talked. So I had to go get my trusty notebook with all my passwords in it.
Yeah. In
And
fact, I think your interview was back in March last year, so I think we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary of that.
yeah, man, it's been a while ago now. Let me see if it'll let me change my view here, just so I can make sure that I don't. Oh, what is that? I don't want that.
No, no
It's
worries.
like,
There.
oh, shucks.
He's too busy trying to change the background and everything. This is actually a lot different than the podcast thing, so this whole thing's not getting edited or anything like that. So I'm just jumping right into it.
All right, man. Let's do it.
All right. So I guess the way I wanted to do this, and actually this was a key thing I found out with Paul Vanderclay and David Brent, and they talked about how people are not really having too much conversations anymore. So I figured let's give this a shot, see how it works. Plus, it's good for
Yeah.
breaking down my introvert C. This is the word I always make for it too. So, so I guess first off, how you been, man?
Man, I've been doing pretty good. It's been a busy few months with we've talked about it a little bit on the channel, but we had mom was going through chemotherapy and Loretta had COVID and it's just been a hectic few months, and I'm glad to be. We live next door to mom, so it's like a tenth of a mile away, but so we were able to get her to her and from her appointments and help her out because she's 76, so it really knocked her on her butt.
I'll say, yeah, that's kind of shocking too. I guess was it cancer or something like that?
Yeah, she had metastatic breast cancer, so she had to do. They did an operation, and then they were like, "Oh, the labs on that show that we didn't get everything," so they had to go back in and do another one. And then they had put a port in her chest for her chemo and all her blood draws and stuff, so they could just plug into that instead of having to stick her in the vein every time. And then they ended up having to replace that. So she was in surgery 3 different times, so it was a lot for her, and she's feeling better now. We're looking at, we'll be talking next or this week about radiation and how that looks and everything. So I think the hardest part of it is out of the way for her. That whole chemo is just awful. I mean, it accomplishes something good in theory, but man, it's really rough on the body. So, but other than that, I've been good. It's just been busy and a lot of worry about my mom. So
I'm gonna say, yeah, you really can't catch a break. You must have been rough.
we've had those. Loretta and I have had those conversations. We're like, hey, God, you want to spread this stuff out a little bit? You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Come on, big man, help me out down here.
Yeah, exactly. But there's so many good things around us. I think that that's we have a choice to make. Like you got to acknowledge the stuff that's hard, but I try to focus on the stuff that's good. I still have my mom. I'm really thankful for that. Got a wonderful, amazing, supportive wife. I'm thankful for that. We've got kids that love us. Thankful for that. I get to play drums a lot, so thankful for that.
Yeah.
What about you? How have you been?
First off, I am sorry that you had to kind of go through that too. So I'm hoping, and
Thanks.
also praying you'll get through that too. But I'm actually doing good. In fact, recently me and Gaz we're actually doing a Skillet collaboration together now, and actually it's the song Monster. And
Yes.
well, actually, what he did was he sent me 2 tracks. One has the click, and then one doesn't have it. But there's no drums in it, so I'm assuming he used Moises to. I guess it's tone it down. I guess we can't really say take it out. So I had to actually do my own improv, and I feel pretty good. When I was listening to it, I was like, I'm still in the parameters of the song, so I'm actually very happy about that.
Nice. Yeah, I love Skillet. They've found their sound, and I just dig it. I dig it, and that's one of my favorite tunes off their Awake and Alive. I think it's what it's called, album or something like that.
Just awake, but yeah.
Just Awake. The song's Awake and Alive, but Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
it's something like that. I actually remember, I think it was Hero, but I only knew a couple songs from him too. I know Invincible was another one they done a little bit
Yeah.
of. I'm assuming Gaz must have pulled it from the music video, the way the audio sounds too, because it's either that, because I think it makes like a little radio transmission afterwards saying like, they're gone, they're out of the open now, that sort of thing. So
Oh, cool. Cool. I'd love to catch them live. They're, they're just a 4-piece band and they've just got I mean, I'm sure they've got backing tracks that they're playing with live to fill it out, but man, I mean, they just got a killer sound. I've always been a fan since I got introduced to them on their Comatose album, which was, I think, the one right before Awake. And yeah, and I was like sold. I love this style. So yeah, I love it. Well, that's cool. I'm excited to see that. Gaz is a great player too, and it's such a fun guy, right? And he's gonna give me crap for this, but I love listening to him talk.
yeah, the thick Scottish accents and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. I got my drums set up. I'm gonna play. Like, I mean, like, I can't even do it, but I love it. I can just listen to hours of him being interviewed.
And I actually felt bad too because I thought he was actually in Scotland, and I later learned he's in Texas.
He's in Texas.
So I'm like, oh, geez, I just embarrassed myself right here.
But if you didn't know that, then I'd make the same assumption.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I interviewed Kieran Wallace and Ryan Thompson out of Scotland too, and like I'd say Gaz easily has more of the thick Scottish accent compared to what they talk like too. So I mean, I would have thought it'll be vice versa the other way around too. So,
right, that's funny.
But other than that, a lot on my mind right now. In fact, I actually had to do just chatting. It was supposed to be episode 1 where I talked about these little trading cards, which, if you wanted to say back in the day, that would be this version of baseball cards and sports cards today. But I guess, are you familiar with the trading card game Yu-Gi-Oh?
By name only. That's a little after my time. So my kids were involved with Yu-Gi-Oh. Oh my God, I'm dating myself really badly here. But I know of Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah.
I've been on and off of it, but this particular episode, I think I'm just going to release tonight, just completely wing it, not even do any script or anything. I'm just going to talk about it and just kind of show the deck profile, just briefly, because I'm missing a couple of cards from it, because you have to have like 40 some cards in it. It's a lot more complicated than what it used to be. Trust me, it's a lot to take in.
And hashtag that stuff, Yu-Gi-Oh. Hashtag Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. Hashtag, right? Like, try to grab some of that audience into your videos. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be interesting. And I was trying to think, because I actually have I'm trying to build just 2 right now, because one is one I've been rolling with since high school, but at least got an upgrade, so to speak. So I'm actually really happy about that. But everybody seems to do things a lot differently. They mix and match certain decks together so that it helps give them a leg up, so to speak. So that's about that.
Yeah.
And I guess
there was like a Marvel, I think Marvel or DC did a like a kind of a trading card game there for a bit that my son and I tried to get into, and we couldn't figure it out. So we made up our own little game, but I don't know whatever happened, any of that stuff in between moves and, moving places and stuff getting misplaced. And I don't know, but that would be the closest that I've gotten to like a trading card game. Although, do I have it up here? I don't know if I do. Hold on. Oh, I hate to leave and go look, but I have the original set of tops. They're like baseball cards, but they're from the original Michael Keaton Batman movie. Like, and I've got the full set, and I've got them in protective sleeves and everything. I'm such a nerd. I've had that since I was like 16 years old. So it's followed me around for a few years.
Well, like I say, you're a nerd with all the shelves of action figures. Obviously, the Batman over there, too. You're right.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what you can see. You can see my Hot Wheels. Most of those are Batmobiles. And that's Loretta's craft table over there. And then we got our dog bed further up here. But then there's all kinds of. Let me see if I can give you a little. See if I can do this without making a hot mess here.
Let's all wait out.
All right, let's see here. Yeah, so we got all kinds of stuff there. More Batman down there, and there's some Star Wars, and I got my GI Joes up there. You can't really see it very well, but and there's more over there. Like it's I was talking. I just interviewed Chris Lupica, throwback drummer, last night.
Yeah.
Or yesterday afternoon, and we were talking about that whole idea of nostalgia, and I was like, man, dude, we are the same person when it comes to that, because like that's why I do that stuff, man, because it reminds me, of when I was a kid and just a simpler time, and I love it because we said adulting sucks, sometimes it's nice to have something that kind of brings back a positive, memory. Anyway, I digress. Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Somehow we got on my action figures.
I think I brought it up quite by accident too. Cause
oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, that's okay. Yeah, man. I should maybe do a tour of it sometime for our channel, just as like a hey, because this is where I edit. This is where I do I mix in the studio, but then I bring it all in here and do all of our editing in here. So, anyway.
Okay.
Anyway,
all right.
What else do you want to talk about?
I know. Let's jump into our drum collaboration we did recently. Because actually, I checked out the video last night. And I was thinking, why is it 7 minutes? Because I know there's only 4 minutes just for the whole song too. And I was like, oh, that's why he's doing this little advertising afterwards. So
I do. Yeah, I do that. You've got the whole little spiel, and then we like to talk about kind of what the song meant to me or to Loretta, depending on if it's one of hers that she's wanted to talk about. But yeah, man, it was so much fun, and I love Lifehouse. From the time somebody introduced me to them, which was that album, I've just been a big fan. Even up to I've not spent a lot of time with the stuff they've just recently released in the last few months, but all the way up through Out of the Wasteland?
It's something like that, but I've only paid attention to pretty much like the big songs. I know, like First Time was another one. I think I played You and Me. I'm not too sure.
You and Me, yeah, that's a big one.
See, it was You and Me. There was First Time. What was in? I can always hear it, and I just try to remember it. I can't think of it right now. Sorry, but it was another. I think it was another one of the big hits. I think it was another one of the big hits too. But
nice.
So
nice, and I always appreciated. One of the things I always liked about that band is like at least Wade, the songwriter, is somebody who is a professing Christian, and so the way he writes, though, I love the way he writes because his faith is just a part of who he is. So you can hear it if you're listening. It's like integrated into everything, but it doesn't sound. But it's not preachy. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't browbeat you with it. It's just an honest sharing of his experience. I love that, and that's how like I try to be with stuff too. But yeah, they're a great band. I thought the collaboration turned out really great too, man. What a fun song.
Actually, what made you pick Quasimodo? Well, I guess what we were originally talking about it.
What made me pick Quasimodo? I had heard it recently. It was like, man, I need to dig. Like I think I did a cover off of Lifehouse's Smoke and Mirrors album, and then I was like, man, I need to dig back to this older stuff. Like either somebody had done a cover from them, like Hanging by a Moment, and I'm like, yeah. So I went back through and listened. And I'm like, oh, this Quasimodo song is dope. But when you hit me with Unknown, I was like, done, sold. That's the one. I'm off base with Quasimodo. We've got to do Unknown.
I want to say it was Throwback Drummer because I think he did Hanging by a Moment when he...
oh, was it, Chris? Okay.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But funny enough, just to kind of expand on your story from what you were talking about on your channel too, I think when I reached out to you to do the collab, I think I was coming back from Nashville and obviously listening to some metal a good number of times and probably blasting my eardrums out. I think I turned to Lifehouse just to kind of get a little mellow and stuff like that.
Right.
And sure enough, it was No Name Face. And I listened to it the whole way through, and I've actually heard the song a good number of times. I was thinking, like, I think we could try something like that. Because originally, I wanted to do Unknown with Fred Fisher. I was going to ask him if he wanted to do it.
Okay.
But I think he gets a little preoccupied with band work and I guess trying to do his own drum covers every now and again.
Yeah, he's a pretty busy guy. I think I saw your interview with him, and I saw I think Matthew interviewed him a while back. If I'm thinking of the same guy, it doesn't matter. But yeah, he's a busy dude.
I don't know if he did, but I know Matthew did Jeff Jansen, which I got after him though. That's probably it.
Yeah, Jeff Jansen. He's got a huge following. Jeff does.
And yeah, it doesn't get monetized a whole lot. I think it just put up the one time was just only like 24 cents. So I say a penny gets you 25 cents.
Yeah, that's why like it's good to diversify, like, and have a couple different things that you're doing, that when you're able to monetize, like we're not able to monetize yet because we don't have enough view hour or watch hours, but to have material that can be monetized when you're at that place. But I heard somewhere that YouTube is going to change the way that looks, so that, now don't quote me on this, I just saw it on YouTube, so this could be a complete line of crap, but that they were going to change the way that's structured, so part of the revenues go to the content creator and to the publisher, to the artist. So meaning that when, channels like yours and mine are able to be monetized, there hopefully, if this is true, is coming a time where our drum covers can be monetized as well. So
yeah, that would be nice. It would, because the first time when I was trying to do that incantation drum cover, you notice it was only, I said shortened version because I had cut out the first like 3 to 4 minutes of it because it was actually an 8-minute song.
Oh wow!
But that was actually the first time a song like that had gotten, I was gonna say banned, but I guess you know what I mean. It was blocked on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's we just did one, finished recording last night with a friend of ours. We had been wanting to do the song "Rattle" from Elevation Worship for like the last 2.5 years, and Elevation, I'm not pooping on their ministry, but one of their things is they just aren't real loosey-goosey about that stuff. So I'd put a test up for it, a test video, and it would get blocked. So then Zach Williams recorded a version of it. Boom! Loophole. We were able to do that one. So yeah, and then we had one, which was the weirdest thing. I've had stuff blocked in like China, or North Korea, Syria, or whatever. We did one of our Christmas ones, got blocked in the U.S. and U.S. territories, but was available literally everywhere else globally. I'm like, what? You blocked this in the United States? Like, that was just a weird thing. So I got messages from, nobody in the U.S. because they couldn't watch it. So it was funny.
I always thought it'd be like, that's how Instagram is, but that's how YouTube was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, really odd. And so the nice thing about YouTube is, like, if it's an artist we've covered before, then I feel pretty good about it. But if we're covering a new artist, I'll take the track, the full track, I'll put it in a timeline in my editing software, and then just export it as like a blank video with that audio, and I'll put it up on YouTube, and then just keep it unlisted so that people can't see it, but it'll tell me if it's blocked or not, or any kind of restrictions, and then I'm like, okay, good, I can use this song, or I can't use this song, so I'm not going to waste my time preparing it and creating it.
I kind of wish I had done that too, because I was so pissed when I saw that too, because it was Relapse Records of all things, and I didn't know why, because I never considered Incantation to be like one of those very high-leveled death metal bands. I always feel like they're stuck in other metal band shadows, so to speak. So I was really surprised by it too. But I forget who said it, and I know it was in one of my interviews. They said these publishing companies are doing these artists a disservice. Because don't you think you would be getting some sort of royalty out of it from YouTube or something like that?
Yeah, or at least free publicity. At the very least, it's not like you and I are like being like, oh, I wrote and composed this song. I mean, we're not trying to pass off the original work as our own. We're just like, yeah, hey, we just are adding our own drums to this. You should check out the album, But man, hasn't the music industry changed drastically, like in the last 15, 20 years? Like in terms of, there was all the Napster stuff back in the day, but then like, man, the last time I physically bought a CD, what I mean? So now you can just buy the song. You don't have to buy the whole CD and then be like, oh, well, the rest of this album sucks, but here's the song I like. So it's just so different anyway. But it's got to be tough for artists, to navigate. So like they should get paid for their music. They should get royalties for that. But that's kind of what the partnership with YouTube is running that ad revenue and that going to the artist or the publisher. So I don't know. It's above my pay grade, right? As long as I can make drum covers, I'm happy.
Yeah, it would be nice. From what you mentioned earlier, that really actually would be nice too, because then it would at least mean I could then keep in my 3 video formats. And then, unfortunately, my McGrip show, a couple times, it got flagged for copyright because of some of the songs I play in the background.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
gotcha. And they're in the background.
Unfortunately.
Oh, man.
So now, I don't think, though, they flagged my intro, so I might be able to get away with that.
Gotcha. Here's one we learned doing a bonus video back in the beginning of our channel. We were joking about how we pick songs. And so I was like playing songs from my computer for Loretta. And Hootie and the Blowfish blocked it. So I was like, well, we've got this whole video. So there's just no audio from, this point. It was like a 20-second clip, if that. So there's like this moment where there's no audio because they wouldn't let us use the song.
I was going to say, I Want to Be With You. Was that song?
I think it might have been. Yeah,
Okay.
It was off that first album, Cracked Review. Man, how do I retain that stuff? I haven't listened to that album in forever. How do I remember what the name of the album was? That's crazy. That was like 90s.
I don't know, but actually, I got into a little bit more Darius Rucker, obviously, when he's doing Wagon Wheel. I don't know, I got into that one recently.
Yeah, dude, I like his version of that song. That's a cool one. I do dig on some country, some of it I don't care for, but there's some of other styles I don't care for either, like it's just hit here and there. But yeah, Darius Rucker's a good musician. He's got some great stuff out there. But yeah, Wagon Wheel's a dope song.
I actually just learned recently that it was actually written by, I want to say composed and then written by 3 different people. Obviously, one of them being Bob Dylan.
Oh, I did not know that. I knew that. I said Hootie. Hootie didn't write it.
It's Darius
Rucker didn't write it because I'd heard another version of it somewhere earlier. But yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that Dolly Parton had written "I Will Always Love You" until way after it was popularized by Whitney Houston. So.
I didn't know she wrote the song Jolene, which is actually our dog's name.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So
that was one of her big hits.
Well, we were just watching Ken Burns and we heard the song come on and they were talking about Dolly Parton. That song comes on, we're like, what the hell?
Jolene.
It's talking about our dog.
Yeah. So. That's, and speaking of country music, just for sake of conversation, you've got like a whole like group of or generation of country music that's getting to that age where, and we've already started to lose them. Kenny Rogers, Loretta Lynn, so Willie Nelson's hanging on, Dolly Parton's getting up there, and so like, and I didn't really even get into a lot of those artists until I met Loretta, who is named after Loretta Lynn. Her name is Loretta Lynn. Now Henninger, but yeah, so she kind of introduced me to some of that stuff. And so if you haven't heard it, to put a cool song on your radar, Loretta and Willie did a song called "Lay Me Down." It's on one of her albums from the last couple of years, but super, super awesome song. I dig it.
I think I heard her name a couple times, but I was hearing more about Willie Nelson. And I think one time we saw Ken Burns on one of our channels on the TV there. So we turned it on and it was talking about him. And he said he went down Broadway and just laid down. And Broadway in Nashville is jam-packed with cars. So you're thinking, like, how did you actually survive that?
Oh, honest. Wow.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, man. And his, he does a duet with, off his Hero, I think it's called Heroes album with his son, Lucas. And, called Breathe. And I don't know if it's his song because I've heard Eddie Vedder do it as well. But at any rate, the video for it was really moving with, him and his dad, and the idea being like, I'm here now, but I won't always be here. And so like there's places where they're together and then places where it's just his son. And it's really, really a neat moving video. But I'm a pretty emotional guy. It's like I get choked up pretty easily. Like, like that was beautiful, man. Did you see that? You know?
Well, then again, yeah, got a little bit of emotional side too.
Yeah.
I would say also traumatized. For me, it was more traumatized with some of the Disney and Universal videos that came back with in the 90s. So you can probably see why.
Yeah. Yeah, gotcha. Force you to confront some stuff that you may or may not be ready for.
Tragically. And
yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I love it. I love it.
So I guess I was trying to think because I have a good number of things I do want to talk about, but I guess the whole thing on Patreon that you're doing with you and Loretta, what's the whole thing with like you jumping back and forth? I guess what's the story with that?
Jumping back and forth? What do you mean?
Is it like she's going to talk maybe kind of like what you were doing on your video?
Yeah. So we just did a Facebook, a YouTube poll as to what people would like to see, and I gave them some options. And what got the most votes was they wanted to see us do like just a weekly devotional. Like, so we've just taken one of the devotionals that we've read together, which is like a daily thing. And then we're just making each day like a 1 week. So I read one and then Loretta's got one up, and then tomorrow it'll be me, and the next week Loretta. So our one Patreon patron will hopefully appreciate that and find that encouraging and motivational.
Actually, I meant to do it this weekend to get a nice little poll and see what everybody wanted. But I guess if you were to be a patron, here's the list of what I'm going to put on there. Would you like to see extra questions from my podcast interviews? In other words, if we're doing something like this, is that what people would like to see? And then I just do it separate. I'll be like, okay, here's the Patreon questions and that sort of thing. I was also thinking, I got to do my short stories. That's the thing I always say about my writing, but I never get around to it too. But it's been a little tough doing 2 jobs, so you can probably see why. But
oh yeah,
but definitely throwing some writings, deck profiles, or I guess what else do you do?
Well, when we put up our Patreon, my goal has been to not make so much work for myself that I can't keep up with it. Same with the Drum Addict. Like I can do, I want to do everything we do well. Like I don't want it to be, I don't want to cut corners in my drum covers so that I can get the other stuff done. So I kind of was like, I don't want Patreon exclusive content to take away from, our YouTube stuff. So, so for a while it was just like, I would just throw little stuff up there. And then it was like, look, we'll put your name in the credits. And then we send our patrons, and it's funny because we had like 4, and then we dropped down to 1 again. And I'm thankful for the one. He's our first one, and he's been super faithful with that. And he's a really cool dude. But we'll send a Christmas card and a Christmas ornament and sometimes we'll send stuff through the year if we're able financially, like, we'll send a t-shirt or something like that. But we were like, okay, so all my ideas in our YouTube poll were things that we could sit down and record, like a month's worth of content, in a sitting. And then how do we keep it easy to edit? Well, sweet, just read it and then upload it on Monday, so it's pretty simple, but it still takes the time to go through and to do it. And but in terms of to view, dude, I'm a writer, and so I like to see what people are writing. So you're writing stuff that would appeal to the writing nerd in me. And then also I think it's from a strategic standpoint, I guess, like if somebody's digging on, let's use a more interesting guest than me, like you're interviewing Gaz Graham, and you're like, hey, we've got a whole set of different questions over on Patreon. If you like this, head over there and check it out. There's a motivator. If they enjoyed, which I know they would, an interview with Gaz, then they're gonna be more likely to go, oh, I'll buy into this, for like our thing is like $1 a month gets you in. Like you could give more than that, but that's all that it takes to get you in. And so if 1 million people would give us $1 a month, no, I'm kidding.
I retire in 2026. There we go.
That would be amazing.
That'd be amazing.
So, but at the end of the day, like for us, we love doing the dramatic. It's a source of fulfillment for us. So it's nice it's cool. We've had a huge subscriber bump over the last few months, which has been really, really neat to see happen. But I keep coming back to, even if we didn't see that, we'd still be pursuing what we're going to do this year the way we're doing it, because we love doing it. We love connecting with people, and being part of a community that's larger than ourselves, and so it's the same. Patreon is just kind of another level of trying to connect. No, if we get 50 patrons and can pay the rent with that, that's cool, right? But at the end of the day, we're still doing dramatic, whether or not we have one patron or 100 patrons. So
it would be nice to at least cover the expenses with the Patreon.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Well, that's why I took up the second job, because that helps cover the expenses and everything.
You work at a bank, right? And then what's your second job?
That's the first job, and then the second job is at the restaurant, and it's a local family joint, and it's a typical bar and grill. But I guess the building's been jumped in between throughout the decades and everything. But it's always been like some sort of bar and grill, for instance.
Are you a server?
No, I'm actually a cook, and I also help with portioning, inventory. Pretty much a jack of all trades, but I don't do a whole lot. I don't do a whole lot with in terms of busing or serving.
Nice. That would if I had to be a server, my daughter served for years while she went through college. It would stress me out. I might hurt somebody. Like I don't think I can wait on people like that. Like I like people, but my experience on working with the public has been that sometimes you just have to deal with a lot of people that aren't nice.
Karen.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I'm like, I did for 2 years. I did incoming customer service phone calls. And woo, like you get a lot of nice people too, but it was just, I just got to where I couldn't take it. I'm like, it really affected my mental health. I'm like, I'm out, before I get fired. Because apparently you can't tell somebody, I heard you the first 4 times, Bob. Apparently that's not good customer service. So anyway,
yeah, I gotta imagine
but it did. It affected my mental health, dude. Like I have PTSD and anxiety, and
oh, the camera's out of focus.
Oh,
Blurry. We censored him. Okay, there we go.
yeah, better.
Yeah.
Try to stay centered.
Oh no! Oh, he's getting censored right now. We're censoring him out. That's the thing.
Now we don't. We can't recognize him because he's talking about a job.
All we see now is his hands. Eric, I can't hear you anymore. You're starting to bleep right now.
It's and then there was this job, and I had to the unnecessary censorship.
All right. I'm sorry. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but it did, man. It really tweaked with my PTSD and my anxiety to the point where Loretta and my mom sat me down, and they're like, "You need to figure this out. Like, you need to do something because you are just like angry all the time, you know." And it's like I wasn't angry at them, but I just that while I was working, and Loretta and I share a workspace, so it just was a negative situation. So all that to say, I don't think I could be a server.
Well, I think you would hate to pay too, because I only think it's like $3 or $4. So
yeah, you live on tips.
That's really all you gotta do. Yeah. And I was trying to think of something else in terms of restaurant too, but when you say PTSD, obviously I think more of the military sort of style too. Was it just something that kind of still affects you? Because I want to say I have something like that too, but it's
yeah. I don't mind talking about it if you don't mind getting a little heavy.
Sure. Although we might turn some people off, though. That's the thing. So.
Yeah. And maybe somebody it'll help somebody. Like, I'm always open to talk about my story, but
I don't know if we did touch on it when we did the podcast interview, so I guess go ahead.
Yeah, I can't remember if we did or not. Like, I usually don't lead with it, but it's man, there's so much backstory that I don't want to go into just for time. But when my son died, we had originally thought it was a suicide, and I found him. So that was like this trauma point. So when I was talking to my therapist, I was like, man, look, something's wrong with me because I'm just ready to fight people over nothing, like over stupid little things. And I was like, and then there's times where I just feel like the room is just like closing in around me. I'll be driving and I'll flash back to that day in that moment, like in phases, and so he had me read the definition for post-traumatic stress. And I was like, dude, I don't have PTSD because like I've never served in the military, right? Like that was my take on it too. You associate that with combat, and which makes sense to me. And he explained to me that it's not combat, it's trauma. It's trauma to your mind, and to your psyche that causes it. He goes, that's why a lot of men and women that serve and see combat come back with PTSD. Because of that psychological trauma. And he said, so everybody's dealing with the loss of Thomas, but you're the only one that's carrying that piece, the trauma of finding him and trying to save him, trying to resuscitate him and all this. So that's where that comes from. And it's, I think as time goes by, like grief, it doesn't go away. You learn how to manage it differently. And I hope that makes sense. Like, you grow, you grow, and learn how to kind of learn what your triggers are for PTSD, and you can't always avoid them. And you definitely can't when people are being nasty to you. That's just a big trigger for me. And I don't know how that relates to the specific trauma, of it. But sometimes I'll just get like sensory overload and just be like, I need to go. I just need to leave for a minute and get myself together, and come back. And and everybody in my life, I for the most part, like the people that I care about, like have been patient with that and have understood that, my parents and Loretta and my daughter Sharon, And then there's been other people that just don't understand it, and I don't know that it's not an easy thing to understand if you've not walked through it. Like, right, like that, even the grief of it, of losing a child, or PTSD. Like, I've got friends that I talk to that have PTSD, different set of circumstances, that brought it about. But it's still like, no, I totally get what you mean when you just sometimes something will trigger you and just fight the urge to rage out over it, So yeah. So anyway, so that's that. But that's where the PTSD comes from, and I think I, for the most part, do a fairly decent job managing it. But yeah, sometimes, and this time of year is a tough time of year. So we're coming up on an anniversary, of my son's passing. So it's kind of this emotional roller coaster, of stuff. So the dramatic is one of the ways that I honor him, and remember him. The last thing we did together the day that he died was we played drums together, and we talked about doing stuff that we're passionate about. And I'm a firm believer that the things that we're passionate about, I believe that God put those there. They're like just not there by chance. So we should be using them to connect with people and to make the world a better place. So yeah, so I do it for me, but it's also a way that I honor Thomas. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I can really match up to yours. So.
Oh, well, no.
No. I was just saying.
Do you have PTSD?
I would say it's more micro PTSD than
anything,
but
it's still real. Yeah.
But yeah, it was obviously when you learn about the whole thing with death and dying at a young age, because I had lost my uncle. I think it was around 5 or 6 when it happened too. But when that sort of thing happened, and then you get, as I said, hit earlier with the Disney and the Universal stuff that kind of came out in the 90s, so it was a bit traumatizing.
Yeah.
It makes it that much more sad. So then you have more sympathy for the characters in that show, even though it works out in the end, but you kind of wish, damn, I really wish it worked out a lot better than what it should have. But
yeah, dude.
And then it was more of things that kind of just happened at the wrong time. I tried getting in sales, which is the door-to-door sales, which I admit was kind of a mistake too. But that one I was pretty much crying over because I was really hating it. I was going for a master's. I'm working practically till 10 or 11 at night. So
yeah,
there was those, and then any other passings that kind of happened in between. And the most recent one was one of my aunts had passed, and it was pretty tragic too, because we had saw her at a family reunion, and she had seemed fine. Maybe she always complained about her back a little bit too, but it was one of those things. And then a couple of months later, tragedy struck. And then something on top of that too was one of my podcast interviews had to get taken down because one guy ended up being a jerk after I sent him the podcast to review and say like, hey, is this good or do you want me to take out anything? And then he said it was fine. I put it up there and a bunch of BS happened there. So I probably should have said like, I don't know where you're thinking there's negative comments or anything like that, but if it's getting blocked, there's a good reason why. So it was kind of like that. So it's more micro, I would say.
Yeah, that's stressful. But dude, death, like as a child, like experiencing that as a young person, yeah, that could be traumatic because you're just trying to figure out life, like what, so yeah, I always say that it's all relative to your experience. Do you know what I mean? Just like you're like, oh, my mind doesn't compare to that, but that's irrelevant because yours is proportionate to your experience and is a thing to work through and to deal with, the same as mine is. It's just a different set of circumstances. Do you know what I mean? But don't ever be like, well, I shouldn't feel this way because Eric's situation, you know what I mean? Like, it's still real and you have to deal with that on a daily basis, so I get it. I get that.
Yeah, there's definitely that. And
I'm sorry about your aunt. That you said that was a more recent thing. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, and just that whole thing with the podcast happened. Actually happened after a funeral too, so that was
Ah.
it was a bit of a 1-2 punch, if you know what I
So
mean.
you were low and then got kicked while you were down. Something that would have been easier to deal with on its own, butted up to a loss. That's sorry about that too, man. That sucks. I feel like there's, or at least my experience has been, there's far more good people, in the community than not. But but there's some that we're human, so there's going to be people. As long as we're interacting on a global scale, we're gonna run into people that just aren't very kind.
Yeah, it's not professional he turned out to be though. That's
Yeah.
not much. But I guess
Well, that's true.
well, the other thing I will say is that's also what you're doing with the backbeat. So I guess we'll segue into that. I don't know if we actually did talk about it during the podcast, but I guess when did you start that?
Oh gosh, it's something that I honestly had thought about shortly after we started the Drummatic in 2020. So it wasn't until last year that I did it, and to be honest, it was I was inspired to go ahead and do it by Matthew, Drumman 190's series, 5 Strokes at 5.
Yeah.
And that's what, I'm sorry, I have run over my cord with my chair.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right. I said, well, listen, there's, he's doing this. Eric F. Drums was doing an interview thing for a while. And I was like, I don't want to just, I was like, what can I do to try to make it a little different? Because there's nothing wrong with the way everybody else was doing it, but I just didn't want to, I wasn't trying to compete with what they were doing. And honestly, I don't know that it's that different from what everybody else is doing, like from what you're doing or from what Matthew's doing. I think the only thing that's different about it is it's me talking, to people instead of, but man, dude, I have such a good time doing it. I've so enjoyed getting to connect, and because of the time involved, we've scaled it down for 2023. I think in the last 6 months we did 20 something of them, like 27 maybe, and we're only going to do one a month in 2023. Which is kind of nice because I felt like I was starting to get to, I got a schedule, I got to get this, and I got to get this up, and it's like that's not how I want to feel about it. Like I want to be like, okay, I got to get this up, and sweet, I got to get this up, yeah, you're
a bit more chill if it's just one a month too, so you can just do it at your own pace.
Yeah, so I try to stay ahead on the drum stuff too, so I don't get into that. Like we're kind of coming up where we're only like 2 weeks, only have 2 weeks built up, until Wednesday. Then that's our last one we have 2. Yeah. Anyway, I like to have 4 in the hopper, so if something comes up, I'm not like, oh no, scrambling to get one done. But that's just me because I'll stress out and have anxiety over it if I don't have it ready. So it's fun when I have it planned and and I'm ready. But yeah, but that's kind of why I started it. I had wanted to do it, and it's been fun. I think my first episode was with my drum teacher that I had, which was super, super cool. Paul's a really great guy. And I was like, yeah, this is just a great opportunity to get, to kind of converse with other people, get to know them better myself, and hopefully, give other people a chance to kind of get to know others and myself just off of the drum kit, and kind of get more of our personalities and stuff like that in there. So it's, yeah. So hopefully it's not white noise, with And I just gotta say this. I love, in terms of interviews, I love the way Ash is doing his interviews with the back to the covers thing. What a cool thing. And then Throwback Drummer, to like, instead of doing like when I still need to record some, we do the shout outs and such, and Matthew has the drummers to watch, which directly influenced shout outs and such. But to do his shout out stuff, he does his reaction videos, which is such a cool, unique way to do it. And that's kind of what I like. Okay, if I'm going to do something, how can it be, unique on the landscape? So, yeah.
Actually, unfortunately, it was more of a drum hands and drummer's key. That's how I got my inspiration to start mine there.
Yeah, man, I wish he was still doing those things. Chris is such a great guy. And that was the other one. God, I can't believe I forgot that when I was talking about Matthew and Eric F. Because Chris started doing, our drummer's key started doing his Under the Covers. Also a great like concept in title, and his little intro too, where he was like in bed and he'd be like, hey, this is the drummer's key, and we're going to be like, I love that. And Chris has got such a great sense of humor. And yeah, he was another one. And that's why I was like, if I do this, is it going to be, just noise on the landscape? Because he's doing it well. Matthew's doing it well. Eric's doing it well, right? And then now we've got you're doing it well. Ash is doing it well. So it's like, so I just keep doing it because I've been doing it.
We finished what we started, so yeah.
Yeah, so until I get bored doing it, I guess I'll keep doing them,
Yeah, it's the same with me, but I like to try to keep it at the 3 videos a week sort of deal. And unfortunately, I find it hard now to try to, because unfortunately Earl Bennett, he told me just keep posting, but it seems like you have to post like every day if you want to see get any boost or anything too. But I'm thinking just do shorts Tuesday and Thursday, just keep it simple and just relax on the weekends and do some more interviews so you at least got something to work on. So
yeah, no, Earl is a prolific content creator in terms of like, and everything he puts out, in my humble opinion, is quality. He's such an amazing musician, and he's an amazing human being as well. We chat on the phone, a few times a year, but like, he's also been doing it for a long time too. He's been doing it, and he had an uptick, but his process that works for him allows him to do a lot of content, and it works for him. So I found a way to do shorts that works for me and seems to be getting us some views and subscribers. But my number one commitment is to 1 video a week, and then we'll have our interview video. I do need to do some more shout outs and such. It's been a while since I did those. We're probably coming up on, somewhere in the middle of this year will be a year.
Yeah.
Since the last one. But and then the shorts, I've got them scheduled. Like I'll sit and I'll do 24 of them. Of those my little double bass exercises with stick control, and then I'll just schedule them.
It's like that sort of thing. Yeah.
It's like right, left, right, left, left, paradiddle stuff and all kinds of stuff. And because I'm learning double bass, it's just helping me get my left leg to listen to my brain,
Yeah.
So you got to find Earl's advice is not wrong. You just have to find out how you can do that in a way that works for you, and what does that content look like, for you. There's always fresh content at Earl's channel. You can do the same thing even if you're not, doing 3 covers a week, right? Like you've got a drum cover, you've got your All Music Matters in that. You've got you're starting this Just Chatting series, and I
got the McGribb show too, which I was
and the McGribbs, yeah, which I was like, man, there are so many cool things you can do with your name, like McGribbs. I was like, that's fantastic.
Well, it's quite by accident too. I was actually thinking calling it the Voodoo Dog Show, since My dog is a Catahoula dog, so she has the one blue and one brown eye.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful dogs.
They are, but they're a bit bitchy when they want to try to
Oh,
have
are they?
pity. Well, they beg for food a whole lot, so anytime you're trying to make lunch or anything, she'll be sitting right next to you, always whimpering, asking, "Can I have some of
Oh,
that?" So,
oh, the poor baby. We have little dogs, Chihuahua mixes that are like they won't whine, but they'll be like, Are you gonna give me some of that? Are you gonna eat that all yourself? Like
oh, you selfish bastard, that sort of
yeah,
thing.
right,
So, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're so funny. They know where to go. Loretta's a softie for that. I'm like, leave me alone. This is my sandwich.
I'm eating. I'm the
Yeah.
alpha male here. I'm eating. That sort of thing.
But then when Loretta's out of town for her work, then I feel bad for them. So I'll be like,
Oh, I feel bad.
here you go. Here you go. Now go away. That's enough.
I just gave you some. No.
Yeah. Right. But they'll just sit there and stare at me while I'm watching TV, and they're adorable. I love dogs. Are you a dog lover? Do you love having a dog?
Ironically, I used to have a dog when I was real little, and then after he passed, I don't know why I got terrified of dogs for some reason. So that lasted a little bit. Then eventually, I don't know when I got over it. Actually, I don't know if it was actually my friends when he kept introducing me to his two dogs. They were good-sized dogs too, but even still. But I think when I hit teenager years, I just finally got over that fear, and then now I'm just okay with it. But I hate the real big ones. My sister's got a mastiff of all things.
Oh wow. Yeah, they're big dogs.
Stupid as hell. That's the thing.
Oh, are they? Do they drool a lot? They look like they would drool a lot.
To a certain extent, yeah. So I said like this was really a mistake. You should have just stuck with a smaller dog.
Or you could have invested in livestock. They're big too.
Unfortunately, the yard's not big enough for livestock too. So
Oh, gotcha. See, now one of the discussions that Loretta and I have been having for over a year now is, can we please get a cow? We have the space for a cow. We even have a fenced-in pasture for a cow, and we call them cowboys, which they might not appreciate, but they keep cows in the pasture part of the year, and we have in the property adjacent to us, they have a herd of Black Angus, and so I was talking to them. I'm like, hey, like, what does it cost to vaccinate a cow? They're like, are you guys thinking about getting a cow? Because we'll just vaccinate it when we vaccinate the herd, so it won't cost you anything. I was like, oh, well, super cool. But it would definitely be a pet. It would not be, and I'm okay with this. I'm a softie. It would not be like, hey, you're a good cow and you're going to be delicious later in my freezer. It would be like
in my belly.
yeah,
Like
right. Little, what was that fat bastard from Austin Powers? Get in my belly.
well, that might have been one, but actually this one was The Rock in Moana. It's like,
Oh.
we're gonna figure out how to get you in my belly.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It might have been built off of that, but regardless.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would definitely probably have hats that it wears and a leash. There's no doubt in my mind. We love animals, and I don't know that it would have a hat, but it would definitely have a leash.
I was gonna say you gotta try to milk it too, so you can try to make your own milk out of it.
Oh, probably not. Probably not. But we did find out that if you buy a calf from a dairy farm, for anybody out there listening to this show that is interested in buying livestock, dairy farms will sell male cows really cheap because they have no use for them. So they'll sell them really cheap to anybody. Like if you want to raise them and have a bull, or if you want to eat them later, whatever. But I think we were told like $25 for a calf from a dairy farm that just had a bunch of babies. Like, really? That's pretty cheap.
We'll take four for 100.
Cheaper than a dog.
Yeah.
And then of course it's like, well, we'd have to get two so it doesn't get lonely. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's true. That's true. Yeah, we would. The cows are like big dogs. They really are. We make friends with the ones they put in the field, but they're dangerous too. Because like when they roughhouse and they want to roughhouse with you, it's scary.
I can imagine. Yeah,
We had a couple close calls. Yeah, so you got to kind of keep a stick with us when we walk down through the pasture now. Be like, woo woo. But they don't understand my lightsaber reference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that was a bad lightsaber sound. Woo woo. So like woo woo. Can you do this? Is such a dumb thing to ask. Can you do a Chewbacca sound? I've never been able to do that.
I never could actually.
I mean, either. I'm like,
That's what I was saying.
that was awesome. That was way better than anything I could have done.
I mean, that's as best as it's gonna get. Trust me. Don't push me anymore. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to start charging people now.
Like, and hopefully, and let's put a disclaimer. When you come on Brian's show, I asked him, nobody else gets to ask him if he could do a Chewbacca sound.
If not, see description below to see where you can do PayPal, that sort of thing.
That's right. That could be your exclusive content for your Patreon.
I mean, if it's $20, I'll take it. That's the thing.
Here's my exclusive clip of me imitating Chewbacca. That'd be funny.
That's what I was like. Actually, no. Oh no, we gotta get Vader on here. Then we gotta throw his stormtroopers over the ledge.
Oh, that would be so funny. Oh, it's Vader, right?
Yeah.
Could anybody have a more like cool and geeky, nerdy, like amazing concept like for his channel? What a fun! Like I love watch. I mean, he's a great drummer.
Oh yeah,
but like
absolutely.
I just love how clean his green screen work is, and like just everything is just. I'm just kidding. It's not green screen. He's very much on a Star Destroyer thing. Yeah, get force choked. No, but yeah, he's. We've got a collab coming up with him here in a couple weeks. I'm excited.
Actually, I did Bush with him, and it was the Machine Head one. Which
Nice.
I thought was appropriate given the obvious, but actually, did you see his recent one he did with Joey?
Yes, I did.
Oh man,
Amazing.
It was funny. It was funny when it's leading up to like I think it was the third and final chorus. It's just him with like lightsabers and everything too, just going like this, rolling. Actually, it started off. I don't know if it's still him. I don't know if he has any kids that dress up as the stormtroopers, or maybe it's just him doing something. Or he just knows how to do special effects, but. You know, I felt bad too. I really wish I could get him on, but he wants to keep the Vader persona. He doesn't want to give it away, so I'm not going to bug him about it anymore.
I tried that, Brian. I was like, hey man, I'd love to have you get on the show, and he was really kind about it in our Instagram chat. Like he's like, oh dude, I'm really like flattered, I'm honored, but it would really ruin the whole persona. So we came up with the idea to I think it was the first or second collab we did together. It was the first one. It doesn't matter. Where I said I had him online with me, and I kept asking him questions, and he just was like, sitting there,
I was thinking about that too. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that was his idea. That was Vader's idea, and I'm like, yes, I'm totally up for that. If you will send me the footage. And then he kicked it up a notch by having all the lights go out on the bridge, of the Star Destroyer. It's like, awesome stuff.
Little thing with the lightsaber. Did he ever do something like that?
Oh no,
it was like, no, that's crossing the line right there. We're gonna have to kill you, Eric. This sort of thing.
Everybody does such a great job with their channels, but his little intro, like with his logo and stuff, is my favorite.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's so cool. It's so well done. And it appeals to my inner nerd.
I didn't actually learn about him until Ash Wells did that whole... I want to say it was his first multi-drummer collaboration. He could have done some maybe more before, but it was the Seven Nation Army. That's right. It was the Seven Nation Army. That was the first time I met him. And I was like, yes, I love this guy. I'm getting him on here. And
it's super cool. It's the neat concept that he has.
Well, he actually said... Well, to me, he didn't do what you guys did. He said, like, I would love to come on, but I can't do the voice or I guess anything that kind of imitate the James Earl Jones sort of voice. So.
Yeah, he said that too. He said, I don't sound like James Earl Jones.
So I really would love to have him on, but I kind of threw it out there. Hey, if you got 1,000 subscribers, would you like to do it then? And I think he's gonna be like the Slipknot guys. He's just gonna keep it under wraps until maybe he feels like just taking the mask off.
Yeah, well, and I love it. Part of it, of course, it provides him with a lot of anonymity online everywhere else, right? But but what a fun shtick. And on a selfish note, when we do our My Chemical Romance collabs, it gives me a reason to dive into my theatrical training and put on eyeliner and dress like, somebody from an emo punk rock band. So, I'm all about that. Yeah. So. You may have noticed that about Loretta and I. We're pretty theatrical people.
Actually, you know what we should do for the drummer collaboration? So we talked about, I do remember it now. You said she was a big fan of Slipknot. So would she have liked doing the Heretic Anthem or?
Oh man, listen, I will go on record as saying that I am not even remotely a good enough drummer to play Slipknot. Okay. Unless they have a song where the groove is just like poof, cha, boom, cha.
Oh, that'd be your intro there. Yeah, but
that'd be it. You could play the rest. I definitely couldn't do it.
I was trying to remember, but I think a lot of them, they started picking up the pace again. They started getting the Iowa sort of darkness again that kind of lingers. It's maybe not as dark as Iowa, because I don't think they want to go back to doing something like that, but it's at least heavy in terms of like you kind of compare it to how their Iowa album was.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys, Joey Jordison and Max Weinberg are just...
Jay Weinberg.
Max is his dad, right?
Maybe,
I got the wrong one.
Maybe, I'm not too sure.
I definitely said the wrong name in an interview yesterday. That's okay. When I edit it, I'll correct it. But Jay Weinberg, right? Max Weinberg played on Jay Weinberg. Maybe regardless.
Yeah.
Max J, phenomenal drummers, way better than I'll ever be. So we'll let them have they're in a league of their own. I won't even pretend.
Yeah.
I'm a meat and potatoes drummer.
Well, actually, when I was talking with you, I think it was a couple weeks ago, because I think I saw your interview with the Castros, Lil Kyle, out of the Philippines.
Yeah.
I guess, how'd you guys get that to work out? Because I think I'm trying to get him too, and I saw him talk about dinosaurs.
Yeah. Dude, what a great family, too. Like, there's so many people we could just talk about how wonderful they are and just, like, what sweet people and how kind they've been. And everybody we've mentioned so far has definitely been that to Loretta and I, just really good friends and supportive, not just of what we're doing, but taking an interest just in us as people. And Kyle and his dad, no different. And so how do we make that work? 5 a.m. for Eric. That's how we made it work. Because they're 13 hours ahead of us. And then with Kyle having school, you can't do it on a school night, because even though it's like, the butt crack of dawn for me, it's like 7 p.m. there. So, but totally worth it. Like, totally worth it, because they're just such sincere, and kind people. And man, dude, I wish I had a modicum of that talent. Is that the right word? I wish I had a little bit of the talent that he has at his age. I didn't start playing until I was 12, and I was probably 20 before I could play any of the stuff that Kyle's playing, now. Like, so it's phenomenal. And they're just such a humble attitude about it. And their channel's growing, man. It's just so impressive.
I was just trying to think of how to get them on too, because I did reach out. It looks like they were interested. I just need to figure out the date, but
yeah, a date and set your alarm early. Get some coffee brewing. It's early, but it's worth it.
I was trying to think, because when you did, what day was it? Was it during the weekend or the weekday?
I think we did it. It might have been a Saturday morning.
Okay.
So that it was like Saturday night for them, so he didn't have to get up and go to school the next day.
Yeah, they were able to stay up past his bedtime, so he could just sleep it in the next
Yeah,
day. So
yeah. But that's by far the biggest. No, I did an interview with a guy in Singapore too. Oh my gosh, what a terrible host I am that I can't. His name is Mark, but I'm blanking on his last name. Anyway, that was like a 12-hour time difference. So, but again, worth it. It's just so cool that we can connect with people that far away.
yeah, that's absolutely true.
But yeah, get him on. Just get a date, and again, like I said, set the timer on the coffee pot so you can just stumble to it and pour a cup.
I don't know, but I don't know if I want to put a Coke in me either, because I might want to just hop it back into bed and just sleep for another. Go back there for another 5 hours. So
just do the interview from bed, where like the whole thing is like you on your side,
Yeah, it would just turn its sideways like this, be like, God, I got dinosaurs right here, man. That sort of thing.
That was cool. Oh, sorry. So you said, yeah.
We just bang the head off the desk.
But I'm the kind of guy that, like, once I'm up and I start moving, I'm awake. I'm ready. Let's do it. And which is probably annoying for Loretta because I'm usually up before her. So when she gets up, I've had like an hour, to get the juices flowing, and then I'm like, good morning,
She's like, what are you so happy about?
She's like, good morning.
Yeah.
Like, I love you. Sorry, let me give you some time to wake up.
Yeah,
then I'll hit you with all my enthusiasm.
Well, the reason I bring Kyle up is because he mentioned about dinosaurs a good bit too, and that was actually all I really did back. To kind of give you a little brief glimpse, it was actually dinosaurs, Thomas the Tank Engine, then maybe a couple of Disney movies here and there. I was never really big into like all of the Disney that came out in the 90s. So
yeah.
So I think we can at least talk about it. And Jurassic Park, I would say.
Of course. Classic. Yeah.
Obviously the first one, but then I don't know why people always seem to bash on it, but when I was young, I loved all three. The first, second, and third one there, so I would watch those ones a good bit. And let's try to think. I don't want to spoil too much right now because I want to save it all when I get them on. So
yeah, no, I love the Jurassic Park movies. I don't remember the second and third one as well as I remember the first one because it was so memorable. Anyway, right? Like there had been nothing like that done up to that point. But I guess my only beef that I'll just go on record for with all of the Jurassic Park movies is there's always somebody making a bigger, badder, less stable dinosaur in private that nobody knows about until the movie comes out. Like,
of course,
they're like, what, you've been tampering with dino DNA to make this, like, of course they are, because you need a new villain. So there's all, like, it can't just be like, oh, the T-Rex is back. It's like, no, there's the Colossosaurus.
Oh yeah,
or whatever.
Giant and bigger too, so that's why I always said the last three were just like the WTF sort of movies. So
indeed, but Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are amazing in those movies. I love their chemistry together and everything. It's so good.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen the last two, but I'm not really in the mood to actually care about it either.
I understand that.
But then there's that, and actually, I just remember too. The first rated M for mature game was actually Dino Crisis, which was actually a Resident Evil sort of ish game that involved dinosaurs in it as like the antagonist, so to speak.
Gotcha. Very cool. And all the blood and guts.
Oh yeah,
that goes with it, right?
They're dragging the corpse away and then just feasting on the remains. So you can imagine.
Hungry makes you hungry for a McRib, doesn't it?
Maybe. But speaking of that, if you got any drum solos or anything, feel free to participate in the McRib show, and I'll give you a shout out there, bud.
Drum solos. I appreciate the vote of confidence in my ability as a drummer to actually do a solo.
I mean, I'm not asking for anything like overly complex, but to kind of give you just a little backstory because we're almost out of time here. But when I went to Nashville, I went to Johnny Carson. I was going to say Johnny Carson, no, Johnny Cash. Sorry.
Cash. Yeah, very different people, but I got
Well, the funny thing was, it's spelled sort of the same way, so I almost said Johnny Carson, but Johnny Cash. I went to Johnny Cash's museum, and he had done his own little show there where he just brought all these country music artists on. I think it spawned Yeehaw too, maybe, but I'm not too sure. But I just figured let's try something like that and just try to bring it back, so to speak. So that's why I reach out to people like, say, you want to do a little drum solo, just anywhere between 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And so far, I've actually gotten 2 from Kieran Wallace. I actually got one from 11 Drums, Toby.
Oh, wow. There's another kid who's just killing it. Holy moly.
Sam Beat 7.
So Sam Beat 7, Toby, 11 Drums. Like, I was just like, how are these kids so talented? Like, it's amazing.
I interviewed another kid, Manny Gerard, who's up and coming too. So he's Unchained drumming. So
okay, I'll have to see if I'm subbed to that channel or not. But
well, actually, I'm going to release his interview in first week of February. So stay tuned for that one. But I will say, cool. I got BRNA on. So happy about that.
Who?
BRNA Johansson. He's real good friends with Joaquin.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who plays Kiss a lot.
I was just going to say the guy who likes Kiss, yeah. What a nice guy, too. Like, I've had as many interactions with him, but it's always pleasant, when I do. And I'm like, he also a great player, does a lot of amazing covers. I'm just, but dude, I always feel like that. Like, not fishing for a compliment or not trying to be self-deprecating, but like I feel pretty comfortable with who I am, but I'm like, I feel like everybody's better than me, which is fine. It's like, yeah, there's so many good people out there that I feel like I learn from, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool, and I'll try to integrate that, and that kind of thing. But I guess I never heard his name out loud. So I had only seen it in print, so it didn't sound like what I thought it was going to sound like.
Yeah, he's our Swedish guy. Really big fan of Kiss.
Yeah.
Actually, it was actually him and a good friend of his, Henrik. He was more of his techie guy. He's the guy that helps him make all the videos and also put this whole thing together to us. So that was awesome. You'll see him at the end of January. So
excellent. That's going to be awesome. I love it. I love how you have such a great reach for the folks that you're finding, because you've brought people in that some that I know, of course, you know what I mean, but and then others that like I didn't even know were out there. There's so many great players out there, so it's cool that you're putting them on not just my radar, but on everybody's radar that might be unfamiliar with them. So that's awesome.
I just thought about this too, but would you ever do the chicken coop, kind of like what Stamatis has been mentioning?
I guess I missed that. What is the chicken coop?
Well, it's basically just a house you put with all the chickens in, so you're able to get their eggs and stuff like that, so you're able to sell it.
I was like, is this some kind of internet challenge? Oh my God!
Challenge accepted.
We live on a farm, and we haven't done chickens yet because we haven't come up with a foolproof way to keep the coyotes away. Oh. But we have talked about it because, by golly, I like fresh eggs. We garden, so I love fresh vegetables. So yeah, I would totally do that. We just have to figure out how to, shy of me sitting out all night with a shotgun, how to keep the keep coyotes from eating our chickens.
I can say why. Yeah, actually, I don't know how much Stamatis has done with his, but I think he built up a good coop because I know he talks about it a good bit. So
nice.
SK Drumming, that's his YouTube name.
Okay, gotcha. I think I do follow him. But no, I was, yeah. So, well, now, don't I sound silly? You were asking like a very straightforward question, and I overcomplicated it. Yeah. The chicken coop. What would I don't know. Would I play drums in a chicken coop? What is this question?
Yes.
And you're like, no, I don't know. Would you raise chickens?
Would you?
Oh.
Yes, that's what you meant. So.
Yeah, that was funny. I have those. I feel like I'm a pretty smart guy, but sometimes, like, I'm not. And that was a good example of it. Like, chicken coop. Can you use that in a sentence? Like
it's like the spelling bee now. We're just like how much we can actually do. Oh, should I see? Okay, no message there. All right, so we are almost out of time right here. We talked for a good bit here, Eric, and it was good to get back together. But I guess what's your plans for 2023?
Man, 2023. Um, we've got some fun collabs coming up. Some in the future with one of my guitar playing friends from high school. Super jazzed about all of the collabs, and uh, we're working on some new stuff for the business. Our one of our goals this year is to build our first drum set, so I'm excited about that, and also scared, but like because it's a different piece to the same venture, but excited. And yeah, man, I want to see our business grow, and then I just want to see us connect continue to connect deeper with the people we're connected with through our YouTube channel, and connect with some new people. And I'm excited about some collabs we're doing this year with folks that we haven't collabed with yet. We've got one coming up with Vanessa Music Box in Germany, so that's cool. And then I always love revisiting with some of my faves to collab with. We got next week is Drumman 190. We got one coming up with Vader again, and we just did ours, and so there's, and then one with our friend Billy where he's singing. So I'm excited, dude. It's just always just exciting to see what the year's gonna bring. Also terrifying, but yeah, man, we're gonna keep doing what we love doing and try to keep doing it better each time.
That's kind of the same way too, but I like to hit the 1,000 subscriber mark by the time the year's done, but might be a little bit of a far-fetched, but we'll at least throw it out there. But
no, man, keep doing what you're doing, put the content out there, and you have a presence on social media, and the only suggestion that I would make, and you can take it or leave it, you won't hurt my feelings, I promise, is like find some kind of short content that you can do a lot of, in a single sitting, and then just schedule those out, because for me, that seems to be where a lot of our traffic and growth has come from, is shorts. And you'll get some that'll have 7 views and others will have 7,000 views. It's just hard to predict. But the more that you've got those going out, I think that those are for us have been a growth promoter, I guess. I don't know.
Let's see. I do love the podcasting part.
You've got good content, brother. So just, and even if you don't hit it this year, don't be discouraged. Just, like it took us, when did we hit it? Just in November, so
probably I wasn't. I kind of forget the social media post, but I'm sure you made an announcement of it.
I think it was November. So like, that was 2.5 years, and so, and a lot of that, the last couple hundred subscribers came all in like a month and a half period, which was mind blowing to me. So now it's just kind of a couple a day, which is fine, which is great. But yeah, man, you're doing good stuff. Keep doing it. And the best part about it is that you seem to love doing it. So that's what it's all about. And if you love doing it, do it even when the numbers aren't what you think or what you want them to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's easy to get discouraged, but it's a grind, dude, to grow your channel. It's a grind for sure. But if you love doing it, the grind is kind of fun, and trying new things, seeing what sticks. So yeah, man. But anything I can do to help, let me know.
Sounds good. I guess another shout out would be nice, but we've already done a nice little collab. Actually, outside of Gas, I forgot about Mike Lewis. I'm actually doing one with him. We're doing a Pantera cover together.
Nice. That'll be super cool. Well, when this goes up, man, I'll share it on our channel in our community section.
Sounds good. And there was also one more, and I've been actually thinking about doing this because I've had, when it comes to multi-drummer collabs, it tends to be a little bit of a pain. And I'm always curious how he's able to keep his head on straight after doing that, because the couple I've done, as fun as they are, it's a little bit of a hassle too, because unfortunately I think even if you play the right track, for some reason some people are like off like here and there, so it's a little frustrating.
Yeah, Ash is a god among mortals in terms of like like his ability to do that and not lose his sanity. Like that is so much to coordinate and to to bring together to where everything is synced up properly and yeah, Ash is a saint. Another one of those guys we were talking about earlier
Yeah.
that just wonderful human beings.
Actually, he gave me his little trade secret, but it was a lot different than what I thought it was going to be. But I'm not going to spoil it on here. Just
Yeah, no, don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. Let it be. You guys know, and I'll just keep asking Ash to edit my multi drummer collabs.
But the reason why I brought it up, one of those songs I thought about doing, and this is one I thought strictly doing, it would just be me, but I thought it'd just be guys in the South. So like you, Tom Counts, Michael Jade,
Yeah.
and I guess trying to remember who else was down in the South too. I know John Brooks.
Where is he? Is he in North Carolina?
He's in South Carolina.
South Carolina, and then I know Tom is in.
He's in North
like
Carolina.
4 hours from us in Fayetteville, I think. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. But the song was from the band Down, and it's Eyes of the South. And you know that one?
I don't, but but I like the title of it with the way you just described it. Described it to me. Well, let me know. Is it hard like Slipknot, difficult, or is it easy? Okay.
It's not double bass. In fact, the majority of it, well, for first like minute 30, it's kind of like mostly hi-hat just playing, along to like what the bass line's doing. That just gets a nice build up too. But I will spoil this much. I will spoil. It's a nice part whenever everybody just comes in. The singer just yells, "God damn!" That sort of thing.
And it comes in pretty hard. That sounds pretty fun, man. And also, and I don't know if he's available to do it. I know he's a busy guy. Trey B is in the South. He's in the Kentucky area.
Trey B.
Yeah, but Trey Bledsoe. I think it's Trey B Drums is his channel name. And again, I'm sorry. Like as these people come out, I just have to. Trey is one of those people that has just been such a friend of mine and Loretta's and of our channel since the beginning, and he's always. He's such a phenomenal musician, but he's just so humble about it. Like he's just a genuinely humble dude, and anyway, super cool guy, and yeah, thankful for all the people that we just, you and all the folks we've mentioned and those that we haven't mentioned. Just that's our favorite part of what we do. Is connecting.
Can you just send me his name through Messenger so I can check out his channel?
Yeah, I'll shoot you a link to his channel. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, sounds good.
I'll do it as soon as we hang up.
No worries. And all right, so that's my Just Giant series. We might call it episode 2, but I'll have to see what happens because I've got to see if I'm in the mood later to do my little Yukio introduction. It'll just be a short 5, maybe 10-minute video just to see how much it goes. So we'll see what happens.
This is like 35-minute videos.
Yeah, these ones, because this is we can at least talk a good bit about really anything, and we kind of got a little deep there too. So that was at least something. Do you have any shout outs or anything you want to say before we close out here, bud? Oh
man, dude, listen. I think if I try to remember people that we didn't already talk about, I'd definitely miss people. So obviously the shout outs we mentioned to the folks that we talked about, and then yeah, this is the shout out I'll do because this is genuine and I can't forget anybody. And everybody that knows me knows this, but like let's give a shout out to Loretta for putting up with me as a creative person and being the most sane creative person that I know, Loretta, right? And really, Ash said it in one of his shows. He said, "Let's be honest, the Drumatic wouldn't be the Drumatic without Loretta." And I'm not offended by that statement at all. It is 100% true. And one of my favorite things about the process is that I get to do that with her, and that she is enthusiastic and shares that. So yeah, shout out to Loretta, and then I'll show her this video.
I'll release it next Sunday. And then we'll just do it.
Awesome.
So no worries there. All right, Eric, you take care, buddy. God bless you, man.
You too. Thanks, Brian, for having me on. It's been a pleasure. You have a great rest of your weekend.
You too. Thanks.
Okay.